Tonight on Spotlight on Sports, we have a man whose name is synonymous with karate. He's appeared on 32 national TV shows, including Real People, That's Incredible, all the major talk shows. He's also been featured in over 100 magazines. He's a front cover story in the National Enquirer. He's been in all the sport magazines, karate magazines, and Playboy too. George Dillman, 6th degree black belt, 7th, 8th, and 9th degree masters, is with us. And tonight, George, we're going to take a look at a fantastic show, a spectacular karate show that we had just last month at Albright College. We'll see you in action, and we'll focus on some of your illustrious guests. Welcome to Spotlight on Sports, and we're about ready to show the tape of that, and we're waiting for your commentary on it. Here we see George in action. George, how did you get totally involved in karate?
I started really at the age of 9 in a children's class, and while I was a child, we studied with a group, and I just kind of stayed with it. I went from there into boxing. I boxed for 3.5 years professionally. Here I'm doing the self-defense techniques, by the way, slow the first time, and then I repeat them at their normal speed, so the audience can see what it's supposed to look like. That was all the vital spots of the body that we hit: the eyes, rake, throw down. That takedown is a simulated leg breaking technique. That's why we do that. We go.
I'm just happy that it's not my leg being broken, George.
Normally that would be against the joint area to break or do damage to the leg. If your opponent can't stand, he can't fight. It's the easiest way out of a trouble situation. So we stress a lot of removing the legs, breaking the legs, or injuring the legs. 90% of your people do not know how to block below the waist.
Who's the young fellow that you're beating on here? Is he from your school?
That's Mr. Larry Tinnen. He's the manager of the Dolman Karate Institute on 5th Street in Reading. He teaches there during the day and in the evening private lessons. This is slow, where we fire out 21 moves, picking all the vital spots in the body, throwing the person by the eyes, and attacking and treading on him when he's down.
That last move looked a little painful.
This was our Karate Spectacular show, held here in Reading at Albright College. We had a large crowd, big response, and I think the audience generally loved it. At this show, we had some of the world's greatest people on. This one...
This is quite a trick here.
This is Mr. Edward Harper, and he teaches our children's class, teaches some private lessons, and what he is going to do is break 3 cement blocks that are braced on glasses, and he's using a glass in his hand, a regular drinking glass, and it's really mental and speed is involved. There you go.
Without breaking the other glasses, that's amazing.
He's not to break the other glasses or the glass in his hand. There's a chance that he could cut himself if he's not fast enough.
And this man is truly amazing, too.
Mr. Ted Volrath is going to use a razor-sharp samurai sword and cut a potato off the back of someone's neck.
He's going to take a razor-sharp samurai sword and cut a potato off a man's neck to show complete control.
Ted was injured in the Korean War. He had both his legs blown off as he stepped on a landmine. And he's been featured on every national television show, from Wide World of Sports to The Tonight Show. He's been featured in movies. He just completed a movie called Mr. No Legs, in which he operates out of the wheelchair as a hitman. Ted's been on our national tour. Our national tour, we put on shows in Madison Square Garden, Superdome in Detroit, Michigan, all over the United States.
I hope the ladies out there don't get any ideas for the kitchen. I think we could lose a lot of husbands that way.
He's very fast with the sword, very clean cut, and he's not injuring. good person.
The amazing thing about Ted is the way he bounces off and on that chair, which we don't see. Now here's another amazing trick.
This man's name is Noah Washington. He's visiting the United States from Trinidad. He's going to get 2 cement blocks, broke off the top of his head with a sledgehammer while he meditates.
This is trading a headache for an upset stomach. Karate's as much mental concentration as it is physical prowess. Is that true, George?
It takes as much of the mental conditioning, especially for some of these feats, as it does the physical. If you don't know that you can do them, in your mind, you won't be able to perform them.
We have a lot of older people involved in karate, a lot of women, and also a lot of youngsters. Now here's a youngster who's a protege of one of your friends, and he was a real crowd pleaser.
He's part of the Ron Martin self-defense team from up in the coal regions. Ron Martin has a school up in Shenandoah. And children start in karate really at the ages of 6 to 12. It's really good for coordination. They actually develop a much finer coordination between the hands and the feet, the mind and the body, than I feel than they do in any other sport. And I've participated in a lot of sports, worked with a lot of professional athletes. And it really is good training for the child. He learns to use the hands, the feet, learns a good self-defense, which builds his confidence as he grows older in life. This is called a kata, a form. It's our method of shadow boxing. This is how you get promoted in karate, by doing this kata or form. You're going to see the same boy doing self-defense against his instructor.
Right, and I'll tell you what, in his grade school, if I were the youngsters in the grade school, I would not mess with him.
This is a kicking and punching series coming at an opponent, showing his attacks.
Sometimes in karate we also use weapons. This is basic weapons form. This is what you do before you get to all the fancy stuff they usually do for demonstration.
The youngster is a national award winner in his age group. He's won several awards already, and I know Ron's really proud of him.
This is called a bow staff, one of the first weapons, just a stick for fighting, and it's coupled with the feet. You block with the stick and kick back at your opponent. And that's what we call a bow form, use of the weapons. Really, the weaponry come out of India. Now, Ron Martin is on the right. He's the instructor for the school. And they're going to show some freestyle fighting. And again, a lot of this, there'll be some show added, because this was a martial arts show. It's got to be a crowd pleaser. And there'll be some show techniques along with the serious.
That hurt.
You could hear that punch had some power behind it. Naturally, Mr. Martin's doing some breathing. George's shot. Now Ron's going to want to get that point back. If this were a real match, he'd be pressured to get it at least 1-1.
Whoa, that hurt. Little guy can take it as well as give it. For a youngster like that, it must give him a sense of self-discipline too, which a lot of youngsters need. And
some of the mental discipline, we've had parents report that with our type of concentration, the child is able to read a book and complete a book that he was not able to do before. That's the type of mental discipline we get into.
Here's one of the great tricks that you have performed many times. It's been in Ripley's Believe It or Not, and you've been on national talk shows with this trick. This is amazing to me. With the blindfold, slicing the watermelons and the cantaloupes, cantaloupe and 2 watermelons in rapid succession. It's just amazing, George, and I personally don't know how anybody can do this.
This is one of the feats that proves the mental training. It works on the last principal scene. I'm using a razor-sharp samurai sword. And what I'm going to do is slice that cantaloupe and watermelons within a matter of seconds. So this has been featured in every karate magazine at our master shows around the country. And in the Ripley's, believe it or not, several times by slicing apples off people's heads, apples out of their mouths. And we're ready here.
is an amazing feat.
It works on the principle of the last object seen, and that's how that's performed. Karen Ulmer is going to show some women's self-defense. She's on the left, and they are just showing some moves as if they were in a movie theater, and a male attacker come up, and
she looks like she could dismantle the whole theater.
She is one of the top fighting women in the country. She has won fighting championships all around the East Coast, all over the country. She's one of the top women fighters in the nation. And she's showing some self-defense. She's from Pat Burns' school. You're going to see him perform next.
I think Mark's ahead on this. CG had trouble getting up.
He grabs her. She goes for the eyes and throws him down. A lot of these moves, I feel, should be explained. There's a back kick.
And here's Pat Burns. I call him the masochist. He's a tough cookie, isn't he?
He mixes the karate and the aikido. If you watch him close, when he throws people, he uses the nerves, like right there, and applies joint locks, pressure holds, as he throws people. It's an art, really, you get into after you get to be a black belt. The nerves control the mind, and you can kill, cripple, or paralyze someone by knowing the proper nerve to strike. Karate really is learning to apply your maximum pressure against the weakest spot of your opponent. And that's basically what Pat is explaining or showing here. There, I think you've seen him hit the eye, the ears, the nose, the groin, and throw him down. Pat's school is in Lansdale, Pennsylvania, down near Philadelphia. And he's been featured on the Mike Douglas Show, as well as a lot of other national shows.
Here's a pretty girl, Cynthia Rothrock, who is very graceful, and also she's tough too. A very graceful girl doing a dance with weapons.
Cynthia Rothrock's from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and she's performing this to music. It's Chinese weapons. Her art is Kung Fu, and she is the national women's form champion. Cynthia has won almost every tournament in the country, first place, for her form and her form with weapons. And she's an amazing fighter, which she's going to show you in a couple minutes how fast she can move. And her feet are just outstanding. Tremendous leg moves. The leg's 5 times more powerful than the arm. And if you can learn to use your feet with the same control that you can use your hands.
She was very popular with the crowd. Now we'll see Cindy in action.
Very fast kicker. The feet move all over the body, and like I said before, the leg's 5 times more powerful than the hand. If you can use that with the same control you can your hands, you increase your strength by 5.
Now get mad.
She teaches a Shaolin style of Kung Fu. Her husband's also involved in the martial arts, and together they run 2 schools up in the Wilkes-Barre area.
Out of all your karate students, George, how many of them are girls? What percentage would you say are girls?
About 20-25% are women, and they study. We have women that work at banks and secretaries and office workers and salespeople. It's good for a girl to know self-defense, or the one that's liable to get attacked. This is called The Meeting of the Samurai Warrior. This is a show, a play actually, put on before the public of what might have happened 1,000 years ago when two samurai would meet in a field to do battle. And with them are their pages, or their seconds, and the pages were expected to take the beating first. If the man could beat the page, then he fought the samurai warrior.
Sounds like a bad deal for a page.
Yeah, he gets it. Now there are nunchucks that are flailing, and that's what he's beating them with. The man attacking was using a bow staff. This is Vince Ward. Vince Ward's kind of known for this meeting of the samurai warrior. He's from Easton, Pennsylvania.
Oh, he said, oh, wait, you're crazy. The guy just grew up in New York. He's not going back.
He don't want to fight anymore, and the samurai warrior throws him out there and says, go to it.
I can't say I blame him, George.
Samurais do much more with their teacher's foot on their behind. It seems to me like they're cooking something up there.
That's smarts.
I think you heard her. And a little help from your friends.
What all this leads up to, we both demonstrate the fighting, the form, and then what it leads up to is this, the meeting of the samurai warriors, where they're going to fight each other in a battle supposedly to the death. And let me tell you that they do use razor-sharp weapons here. They're using the real thing. The pages are dead. Now it's the two samurai will meet in a confrontation. Slow motion.
Notice again that they are using real weapons, that is a real sword and side. Evidently, these techniques must be a little bit too difficult to do at full speed. But they'll give you an idea of actual combat, how things would happen. Ladies and gentlemen, the battle of the samurai. Full speed, ladies and gentlemen.
One mistake, you have an injury. And Vince Ward, the head of the school from Easton, Pennsylvania, is the winner in the meeting of the samurai warrior.
Here comes the biggest crowd pleaser of the night as far as your guests are concerned, and this is Sugar Croson. Tell us a little bit about Sugar.
Sugar Croson has been an acrobat since he's been about the age 2. He's a gymnast, an acrobat, he's a black belt in karate, and he's learned to couple the two for show. But he's also good, as you'll see, and fast, up over the person's head, and they do some acrobatics as well as karate. And Sugar is the fighting and form champion out of New York City for the last 2.5 years. And you can see why right there, how fast he moves and the finesse. He's a real crowd pleaser. He gets standing ovations around the country with his show.
He's reminiscent of Sugar Ray Leonard, the way those hands move.
There were some promoters that wanted him to become a professional boxer. He really wasn't interested. His karate school is doing fine. He's on a national tour. He's just finished a tour of Europe and Canada. You see how fast? Some promoters in New York were trying to get him to turn pro boxer, and he didn't want to give up what he has going.
Known for his ability to leap high in the air, 8 to 9 feet, breaking fence, jumping over people.
Again, he's using the wrist or joint locks. And that's a knife that he got. He was showing attack against a knife and taking the knife away. This is a scene that might take place on a New York City subway. Most people don't realize he's holding him by a nerve in the wrist. Throws him, headbutt, and a front kick.
Now Sugar donned a wig, and
this is the crowd pleaser. He pretends he's a woman, and he does some self-defense this way, and he does it to get a laugh. If you watch, he shows some self-defense from a woman's standpoint.
My name is not Sweets. You know my name? My name is, you heard of Jerome Mackey? Yes, I heard. I'm Jerome Snack.
I'm not going to hurt you. Let's go over and sit on the bench.
On the bench.
On the bench.
Oh, wait. Let me just look cute. Okay.
Sit right there.
She get tired of this. That's all she wants to sit.
Sweet. Don't go.
No, please. No.
Maybe she wants to go.
Sugar throws him for his show in Canada recently. At the completion of, he had his own master show, got a 4.5-minute standing ovation. I think you can see why. He's going to leap over 2 swords at the end of this. This is a slow motion demonstration that they put on. And I think you can appreciate the physical control here, because they are doing this in slow motion. This is not the camera.
Give me that stick. Let it go, buddy.
He's gonna go get a cement block. Slow motion on top of his head.
Sugar really knocked himself out for this show, and people really loved him.
He uses the nunchaku. This is a triple staff that he's using. And this is what's won him so many places in form competition with weapons. And I think you can see why. Because he moves it very fast. Just knock the chair over the chair. And a flip. He puts out 100%. When he's in competition, he's just about unbeatable.
These are 2 razor-sharp swords.
And they build with 2 swords, and if he missed, he would get caught.
And now we come to the trick that makes George Dillman famous, and this is a famous ice break.
Stand over the body. First stack of ice. Each stack's 1,000 pounds.
It's unbelievable, George. Unbelievable.
Had a standing ovation in the packed house at Albright College.
That was just a tremendous show, George, and the ice break never ceases to amaze me. Nobody else can do that. I've seen your elbow after that trick is over, and I know how much pressure that puts on your elbow, and I've seen it black and blue. How long can you keep doing this?
I want to stop it is what I want to do. It just keeps leading on and on. Everybody wants to see more, a little more poundage, and we do it at different shows. But you have to condition the arm first, and that's part of it. You have to really condition so that your body can take that shock. Other people have gone out and tried that. In fact, one of the men there at the show had his arm bandaged for 7 months because he tried to do the ice break, and he did not condition the arm properly, and he did a lot of damage to the nerve in the elbow, and he was unable to use his arm for 7 months.
Well, George, thank you very much for coming in today and commenting on the show. It was a tremendous show, and it's always a pleasure having you in here. You've been with us now ever since the Prism launch, and we appreciate your stopping by. Just do me a favor, don't mess with me because I don't have that much insurance.
That's it.
Thanks a lot for coming in, George.